Well, Gils Arena got interesting recently. We had Tony Allen on the show, and we had Brendon Jennings, and they started a conversation arguing who is the better player in their prime and who they would choose if you had to pick between Gilbert Arenas and Derrick Rose. Now, I wonder who you guys would choose, but there was a couple arguments made, and I'm going to show you that video because it's pretty interesting. The arguments that were made and things like that. Brendon Jennings mentions Gilbert Arenas as he was a monster. He was awesome during a season that he was averaging 29.3 points. Imagine this. He was averaging 29.3 points. And when you look at it, he wasn't even in the MVP conversation. So how good was he really? He was scoring a lot of points on a shitty team while shooting 44% from the field. That season was his 5th season in the NBA. Now, you could say that by that season, he was age 24. So 24 on the break of 25. He was breaking into his prime. If you look at Derrick Rose only had 4 healthy seasons in the NBA. 3.5. The first season he averaged 16.8. He was rookie of the year. The next season he averaged 20.8. He was an all-star. The third season in his NBA career, Derrick Rose played 81 games. He averaged 25 points. And he was the NBA MVP. NBA MVP, guys. Averaging almost 8 assists a game, 25 points. As a point guard. He was carrying that Bulls team. Of course, he had more help than Gilbert Arenas at the time, but this was his 4th season. He was 22 years old. Third season, he was 22 years old. Now, he wasn't even close to his prime, because if we take into consideration, because both of these players came into the NBA at age 20. So taking into consideration that Gilbert Arenas hit his prime at 26 or 25, Derrick Rose was the MVP at 22 years old. MVP of the league. Give him 3 more seasons of healthy play. This guy would have just destroyed the NBA. And yes, you could argue that in his 3rd season when he was the MVP, he did have a lot of problems with LeBron James, a much bigger player, defending him. But he was in the NBA 3 years. You don't think he would have adjusted for the next season? That wouldn't have been the case and improved his game? Of course he would have. With that kid's talent, damn, he would have destroyed the NBA. Let me show you that video that I'm talking about from Gils Arena, so you could take a look at it, and then I'll give you my opinion and compare a couple more stats here because it's important to look at that. Okay, so take a look at the video. I'll be right back.
Stop it, bro. I'm not going to front. I'm taking Gilbert Arenas over Derrick Rose.
What?
I'm taking Gilbert Arenas. I'm taking Gilbert Arenas.
Lord.
Hey, Nick, tell them they can't leave you out the conversation, baby.
And I love both. And no. And I love both. But I just feel like Gil averaged 28 and 29. And if he don't get hurt, we know what that look like.
If D Rose don't get hurt, do you know?
That means he can't get past Miami. He was never getting past Miami.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Hold on.
A few pieces away.
And I love D Rose. No, and I love, but I don't think Chicago had enough.
A few pieces of getting away.
But does he get past Miami?
But does he get past Miami? Because in the fourth quarter, you know who they put on him? LeBron. We gonna sit here.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
I'm just saying.
I don't know, bro.
They had Gil the best player in the league when he was averaging 28 and 29.
Hey, remember Gil? Put it like
the best player in the league.
D-Rose was the biggest threat to LeBron in that era.
For sure.
Yeah, I guarantee you that.
Yeah, that part.
Guarantee you that.
For sure.
So,
In the East.
Well, hold on.
Show that.
Hold on. Because you had Boston and you had Dwight Howard.
Then you let Jimmy Butler come into who he's going to be coming to at that time, bro.
D-Rose.
But Gil,
give him a couple years at that.
Gil was
I'm
just saying, Gil, on and off the court, I just feel like Gil had a better shoe line, too.
How far Gil?
That Hibachi shit was crazy,
They was both
bro.
Adidas.
And they were both Adidas. So I'm just saying, if they both don't get hurt, it's kind of one of them like,
You never know what Gil.
we don't know.
Gil was going
bro.
that way.
Like, no,
Gil was going that way.
I mean, the
Gil was going that way, though. Gil was going that way, bro.
Gil was
like shoot anywhere.
That's hard.
Anywhere. He was on some Steph shit. This Dame Lillard shit. He was on some Dame Lillard shit.
They both going crazy. I just like the what if both of them don't get hurt?
Yeah, them are some talent.
Rose changed the game. Because on and off the court, they was both.
Yeah.
Well, we was just having this conversation, me and the homies, about the guys who were very, very talented but didn't really reach their potential. We was talking about Mike Beasley. Guys like that never got the opportunity to take it over the top.
I wish he would have, the mentality he got now and the focus he got now, how he work on his craft now, I wish he'd had that when he first came in the league.
Sure.
If he'd had that when he first came in the league, he'd still be in the league. We'll still be talking about it. We'll still be putting them in names that we naming today.
Yeah.
Now, you saw Brendon Jennings, as always, get a little heated. And Tony Allen was just comfortably sitting on the sofa, relaxed, saying, I don't know. But he was going more for Derrick Rose. And Brendon Jennings was an adamant Gilbert Arenas guy. Gilbert Arenas was a great scorer. I remember his battles against Kobe Bryant. He was going at Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was going back at him. It was like 2 seasons like that they were drawing at each other. And then their duels were nice to watch. But what did that guy achieve in the NBA? The only 2 seasons that he was considered an MVP candidate was 2004-2005, when he averaged 25.5 points. He was 12th in MVP voting and All-Star. And then in 2006 and 7, when he was the 8th in MVP voting, at 28.4 points, 41% shooting from the field. 41%. And he was 8th in MVP voting. I mean, 41% shooting. Come on. That is not efficient at all. Now, when you look at the stats, and especially with only having 3 really healthy seasons from Derrick Rose, this comes down to personal opinion, because I don't think there's enough years to compare these 2 players correctly. Especially that Derrick Rose got hurt at 23 years old with his knee, and he was never the same after that. But because he was never able to reach his prime, so we really don't know what his ceiling was. And he was doing some insane things on the court. Insane things on the court while playing for Chicago, being 6'3". The dunks he was making, the drives to the basket. Oh my goodness, it was incredible. Incredible. So this comes down to a personal opinion, but my opinion is, if I had to choose either a healthy prime Gilbert Arenas or a healthy prime Derrick Rose, I would probably go with Derrick Rose. I just think, even looking at the length of his career, how long he lasted, and how professional he was over the years, I just think he was much better. He had a similar game, height-wise, you could say, maybe a similar ceiling without seeing it, I would say. But he was much better up here. He was a true professional in the game of basketball. But looking at Gilbert Arenas, you cannot say that. There's no way. At some of the things that this guy did, and he ended his career at 30, I understand his injuries as well, but Derrick Rose dealt with multiple injuries, and he kept coming back and working hard and working his way back. Gilbert just didn't have that drive, guys. That's the way I see it. He didn't have the drive, and he didn't have the mentality like that. I think my opinion is Derrick Rose. Any day of the week, I would take Derrick Rose. Just like that. Let me know in the comments what you would choose and which player you would go with and why, if you can. All right, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.